Can you believe it's been a couple of years since the Venza came out? We thought we'd get it back.
There's been a refresh for 2023. Let's get in and go over it all.
Easy, Andrea. You got 200 horsepower under there.
Do we ever?
It's the Venza. What is under the hood of this thing?
A 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine matched to an eCVT and Toyota's hybrid Synergy drive. It's got a net 219 horsepower and standard all-wheel drive.
So the good news is we have the changes in the USA for the 2023 model year of Toyota Venza.
And in Canada, we did reach out to Toyota Canada, and unfortunately those specs are not available yet, but we think that they will be fairly close.
All right, let's get into it. What are the key standard features of the Toyota Venza?
The base trim comes with an 8-inch touchscreen, a 7-inch multi-information display, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a wireless charger, a 6-speaker audio system, heated front seats, 8-way power driver seat and manual passenger seat, power rear door, 18-inch wheels, and Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, including blind spot monitoring and rear cross-traffic alert.
We'll get into this kind of odd center console in a moment, but there's some button here. What are we going to put it in?
You have to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the couple car review, twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure you like and subscribe, but also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to get a sneak peek behind the scenes. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. This video is brought to you by Canada Drives. Shop online for your next used vehicle and enjoy the convenience of to-your-door delivery and the confidence of a 7-day love it or return it guarantee. Visit canadadrives.ca to learn more. So when this Venza was brand new, we really only had the car for a couple of days to test drive it. So we thought, let's get it back. And just before they make some announcements for the 2023 model year. So what are the big changes, Andrea?
So one of the big ones is the audio system. The infotainment system is getting an upgrade. It's going to be faster. It's going to have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and dual Bluetooth phone connectivity. This is the system that we just saw in the BZ4X and of course the new Lexus NX. Some other changes include the LE base model is going to get a 7-inch multi-information display. Currently, it gets a 4.2-inch. It's actually the top trim right now on the 2022 model that has the 7-inch. Now for 2023, they're going to introduce a 12.3-inch digital driver display.
Fancy.
The 10-inch head-up display, which is available on the top trim in the US in a package, will now be standard on that top trim. In Canada, it is already standard on the XLE trim and limited trims.
But we have different packages here and a more expensive product, so they threw that in, and I think that's welcome. Now, we're going to get into the new trim that's been announced called the Nightshade Edition. It's an option on the XLE trim with black exterior accents, 19-inch black wheels, and available in 3 colors, black, pearl, and red. Other changes include LED fog lights, now standard on the XLE models and above, and the Stargaze fixed panoramic sunroof will not only be available on the top trim, but also on the XLE Nightshade model. I think it's kind of gimmicky. I mean, you know, you do that a couple of times for your friends and then they go, ooh, that's cool.
Honestly, I would like it to open. I'm not really into the Stargaze roof. I just either want a moonroof that opens or I want a panoramic sunroof that opens, and this doesn't.
I'd get the one now where you can get it without it. That's the way I'd roll.
Well, really, that's where you're at, Zach, unless you get that
this
top
model.
Trim. Yeah, you're just not going to get it unless you get the Nightshade package.
Okay, right below. Does this impress you, or is it a gimmick?
It's a gimmick. Don't you think it's a gimmick?
There are no mechanical changes for 2023. I mean, the car's only been out for 2 years, and it's very competent.
Yeah, it's smooth. The cabin is fairly quiet when you're driving in the city. I do find when you accelerate quickly on the highway, you definitely feel and hear that it gets a little bit louder.
Actually, it's coming up on our hot topic. Somebody has a question about this in comparison to other hybrids, so stay tuned for that.
Otherwise, I think that the turning radius is really good on this. And I find that the steering isn't too light.
It's classic Toyota hybrid stuff, right? So if you've ever driven a Toyota hybrid, you kind of know what you're getting into. It's not the most inspiring vehicle to drive, but you feel good inside and warm, like hot soup, knowing that you're not spending a fortune on gas.
Somebody said to me, is it really fun to drive? Well, I don't really think that there's a hybrid out there that you would buy because it's super fun to drive. You're buying it for fuel economy.
I take a Porsche Panamera hybrid. That's pretty fun to drive.
Okay, but we're talking about non-luxury. That's a whole other level, including the price tag.
And this is the thing is, we actually did a comparison this versus the NX hybrid that they sell on the Lexus side. That is more performance oriented. The NX has the larger electric motor from the RX hybrid, and it gives you more power. So if that's your jam, you want more sort of feedback in driving, they will sell it to you, but it comes with a Lexus price tag.
It's not a bad price though, starting at just under $50,000 in Canada. I think that NX model is one of my favorites, and it's priced quite well. Speaking of Lexus, this exterior on the Venza has a real Lexus vibe to it.
You know what, Andrea? There's a connection between the original Lexus RX and this. So the Lexus RX, when it first came out, was based on the Japanese Harrier, okay? This is based on the Japanese Harrier now. The new Lexus RX has moved on, but there is kind of a connection, and I always like to call this one Lexus Light. It's kind of like Toyota grade materials, but with a Lexus kind of vibe, and you know, a nice looking product, especially the back, the curvy backside. I like that.
I really like the light bar in the back. I think that it looks great. And then we've got the available LED projector headlights on here. This comes standard with 18-inch wheels, but available 19-inch wheels, and it offers 7.7 inches of ground clearance, which is less than the RAV4.
Now, a lot of you probably know, yes, it's based on the Japanese Harrier, but also the same platform as our RAV4 hybrid that we get here in North America, but it's got more length at the back on the body, and you would think it has more interior volume for cargo. We're going to get to that in just a second, but we touched on it already, Andrea. Toyota grade materials with kind of a Lexus vibe on the inside. What do you think of the interior?
Well, surprisingly, there is a lot of soft touch materials. There isn't that much hard plastic, except in the spots that you would expect underneath the center console and of course on the doors. But overall, I like how Lexus used leatherette.
Toyota, you get a little Freudian slip there.
Look at that. See, because it really looks like it. Unbelievable. But I like how they used leatherette at the center console. What I'm not crazy about is how it's organized.
It's a funky, weird kind of setup. Like, we mentioned this a lot when we were talking about it when we drove it a couple of years ago. So they have like the park there, the EV button and all that in front of the shifter, which is kind of lost space. They could have easily put those buttons on either side of the shifter, and then they have the power button to start this as an afterthought, just bolted in there. It's weird.
And you know, Zach has actually, and I've been there to witness this, he spoke to the VP of Toyota Canada, and he says, did you guys just forget to put the power button in? And then went, oh my gosh, let's put it in somewhere.
What did he say?
He did laugh about it.
Yeah.
Stephen Beatty.
I like to give him the gears.
Yeah, he likes the humor.
All right, now the other thing is, you can get this with a real volume knob if you're cheap. That appeals to me on two levels. It's cheaper, and I get a volume knob. When you get the big screen, it's all capacitive touch, swipey nonsense. Why can't they just give us a volume knob?
So in the US, the 8-inch touchscreen is on the base model and the XLE model. But in Canada, this screen is on the XLE and above models. So we have to get that base model in Canada to get all those buttons.
But the Americans are getting the XLE with this screen too, right?
In 2023.
Yeah, so if you like the idea of the volume knob, but putting up with a smaller screen, get it now. I actually can't get any car now. What am I talking about? No, this is the
problem. Well, guess what? We have some viewers who ordered a 2023 Venza, and they say they're going to be getting it in 6 months or so. There are some hard keys in here for the heated steering wheel. It's to the left of the steering wheel. And then heated and ventilated front seats are at the center console here.
Kind of a weird spot.
Yeah.
Well, here's me getting into the back seat. As we mentioned, it is based on the same platform as the regular RAV4 hybrid, and you get the exact same legroom in the back. I would call the seat cushions comfortable. Toyota does a good job with seats.
This doesn't have best-in-class second row space. It's the Tucson and Sportage that offer the most space.
Now, speaking of seats, the back seats, considering this is getting expensive, this top trim we have here, what is not available in the back?
Heated rear seats. The RAV4 gets it, but the Venza doesn't, and I think that's a real miss from Toyota.
A source of frustration in the past is no height adjustment for the passenger seat. But for 2023, Toyota has added an 8-way power passenger seat, but only available on the top limited trim. Now this is longer than the RAV4. Why doesn't it have more cargo space than the RAV4? Because of the rake of the rear hatch. It's got more of a slope to it. It looks good, but less space, right, Andrea?
The Venza has the least amount of overall cargo space and space behind the second row of any crossover in this class. It's the Sportage and the Tucson, once again, with the most.
Actually, we have more questions about the interior and a Java reference. Did you say Java?
Yeah.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Did they make the back seat any larger? I found it small, but I liked everything else about it. Nope, still the same size for this year. It is the same dimensions as the RAV4 rear seat, which I find okay. What do you think?
It's a compact utility, even though the outside dimensions of this are longer than the RAV4, so front and rear legroom is the same.
Is that the only interior color it comes in? I find the black to be a little bit plain in my opinion, but obviously it will appeal to more people.
The first one we drove had this sort of brown interior.
Yes.
It looked pretty posh.
Yeah, they call that Java with a black.
Did you say Java?
Java.
A second, let me have a sip. Okay, go ahead.
The base trim comes with cloth interior, and in Canada, only black is available, but in the US, you can get gray or black. And then depending on what trim you get, the middle trim and the top trim is soft tex, and you can get gray, black, or that Java black Zach was talking about.
Now, Softex is faux leather, okay? That's their proprietary name for it at Toyota, and it is wonderful. You would be hard-pressed to know that these aren't real leather seats. And a big bonus is as the years go by and you're piling in and out front and back seats, the bolsters often will get worn on leather. These will look the same years from now. So it's a wonderful product, and more car companies are doing it well, like Toyota.
Yeah, and Lexus is also wonderful when it comes to their leatherette interior. We had the NX hybrid, and Zach couldn't even tell. Is this leather? Is this leatherette?
One other brand that's been doing it really well for years is Volkswagen. Their faux leather is really good.
We put out a lot of content each week on the Motormouth YouTube channel, and it's so easy to find.
All you do is go to the YouTube search bar and type in Motormouth, the name of the channel, then the brand you're looking for, in this case Toyota, and then all of our videos pop up. It's that easy.
Beautiful vehicle, and I love the blueprint color. Do you have any news if they'll be bringing a plug-in hybrid version for the Venza in 2023? No.
No.
You know, when the Prime came out, I honestly thought that this would apply to the Highlander. And then when the Venza came out, I thought eventually it would get a PHEV as well.
I think it's all coming, Andrea. It's just, you gotta wait. What's the big problem over at Toyota with the Prime? You can't get one.
No.
Right? So why add more misery to the long list of people waiting for plug-ins if they don't have the capacity? Because the Prime vehicles are made in Japan. This vehicle's made in Japan, unlike the RAV4 that's made in Canada. So they have their supply constrained by how many they can actually make. So they have a plan for all of them. Guaranteed they're all coming, just not right now. And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
How does the road wind noise insulation on the Venza compared to the cheaper and better equipped Hyundai Kia hybrids? Is it better than the RAV4 hybrid?
All right, here's how loud it is. Full throttle. Of course, that's all the gas engine making all the noise.
Yeah, which we all know the RAV4 gas engine gets a little loud.
But you know what? When you're on and off the throttle, utilizing the electric motor more, it's a very quiet vehicle. Andrea thinks that this is quieter than the RAV4.
Yes, for sure. I think this is quieter than the RAV4. It has a more refined drive to it, and I think that's where we go back to Lexus Light. I think that this is tuned a little bit differently than the RAV4 hybrid.
And then Andrea also believes that the Tucson hybrid is super quiet. I don't remember it being as quiet as you thought.
Okay, when I got in it and drove it for a week, I was surprised at how quiet it was. I kind of felt like it could be a pure EV. That is how quiet it was to me. That's what I remember.
So this is all subjective. You have to drive and see if this is quiet enough for your taste. Here's the news flash. If you want a quieter vehicle than the regular RAV4, get this.
Yeah.
If you want it even quieter, get the RAV4 Prime. Oh wait, you can't get one of those.
No.
But you know the idea. The added electrification to vehicles is making them quieter overall. You know what, Andrea? People are looking to save money on fuel. They're looking for hybrid vehicles.
Yeah.
What else can you buy for your money?
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Toyota RAV4 hybrid with the same powertrain as the Venza, but a lower starting price of just under $33,500.
The Hyundai Santa Fe hybrid with a 1.6-liter turbo 4-cylinder and a 6-speed automatic transmission, 226 horsepower, and a starting price of just under $39,000.
The Ford Escape hybrid has a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with an Atkinson cycle powertrain, 200 horsepower, and a starting price of just over $34,000.
Here's our used car alternative from CanadaDrives.ca. We chose a 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander GT plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with 68,500 kilometers on the clock for $38,590. Click on the tab or the link in the description below to find more vehicles in this category from CanadaDrives.ca.
So there are 4 hybrids for you to consider.
All important fuel economy, warranty, towing capacity, and more in our vital stats.
Let's start with pricing. Unfortunately, the 2023 pricing is not available yet, but here's the 2022 pricing. The base trim starts at just over $39,000 Canadian and just over $33,000 in the US, and the top limited trim is just over $48,500 in Canada and just over $40,500 in the US. J.D. Power has not yet rated the 2022 Venza, but gives the 2021 model a predicted quality and reliability score of 78 out of 100. CarEdge states the Venza will retain 60% of its value after 5 years.
Here's the fuel economy. 5.9 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 6.4 on the highway. That's 40 miles per gallon city, 37 miles per gallon highway. The Venza is not rated for towing. The warranty is 3 years, 60,000 kilometers, or 36,000 miles. In the US, you get complimentary maintenance for 2 years and up to 25,000 miles.
If you're looking for a fuel-efficient SUV, look no further than the Venza hybrid.
They could smooth out some of the packaging options, but other than that, great choice.
This video is brought to you by Canada Drives. Shop online for your next used vehicle and enjoy the convenience of to-your-door delivery and the confidence of a 7-day love it or return it guarantee. Visit CanadaDrives.ca to learn more.